Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're going to be going over sampling, and this is done with two Ableton devices, Simpler and Sampler. And basically you have your MIDI clip open and you take your one shot that you like, and you just drag it in and it automatically opens in a Simpler. Now this is Simpler. It's a simple version of a sampler, hence the name Simpler. You can adjust the start and stop time. This is the sample window, by the way. You can adjust the start time and the stop time, so you can kind of do rudimentary editing that way. You can also adjust the start and stop time here, or the length, which means you can automate it. So you can make little chirps this way, right? Another cool thing in this little section is you can actually loop. You can loop it. So with that being said, you can do some really interesting things if you loop a particular area and, you know, pitch it down or whatever. That's what I believe is called microsampling, and it's a neat way to get interesting basses and such. Snap will snap so when the phases match up, right? So it'll automatically make it so when you loop it, it'll sound a bit more cleaner. When you have it off, you can get more of a refined kind of touch in there. Yeah, we have 3 envelopes. We have a volume ADSR, so you can have a slow attack. And a, fast release or slow release. So like when you hit it, right, it does that, and it's per sample. I'll turn off loop. We can adjust the decay and sustain, just the same regular stuff. Filter. All right, we have our filter sections down here, and we have a modulation option of our envelope and our LFO. So our filter envelope is on, so we just turn it on, and we have our envelope amount here. So we can, play around with the cutoff frequency. So now we have kind of like a deep housey kind of thing with our envelope attack, decay, sustain, release. With our envelope amount, we can have a plus or negative to get some really interesting effects. We have low pass 12 and 24. So as they go up in number, the cutoff gets more steeper. Band pass 12, 24, high pass 12, 24, and a notch filter. Get some really interesting effects. Another way to modulate the filter is with the LFO. Actually, yeah, we'll do pitch. Pitch, it's a pitch envelope, and it's kind of unpredictable. I have no inclination. I actually don't know how it works. Oh yeah, the envelope is down here. Yeah, so the pitch envelope is down here. Yeah, so the pitch envelope adjustment is down here, and this is where you transpose up or down to get it in key. You can tune things, and you can tune things in a sentence. So what you would do is you'd have a piano playing or some sort of sine wave, and then you tune it that way. All right, so we have one LFO, which is either a sine, a square, triangle, saw, ramp, and a sample and hold. And one thing you can do is you can modulate the filter and have it synced, so we can have basically another filter envelope. Yeah, you hear it? So we have to have the modulation amount, the LFO, adjusted here for the filter. It's just in 4 sections. Right, so we got that nice little housey stab thing. Now retrig, so that'll reset the phase of the LFO. Same. We can adjust the attack, so there's a delay of the LFO triggering, and that we can also offset that. We can spread, so we can split this up and detune this slightly, or detune the left and right, so we get a wider sound. Also, we have our voices, one voice, so it'll be like a monophonic, all the way up to 32. And yeah, we'll set the velocity to 100. We can modulate the pitch, or the amplitude. So when we have velocity up to 100, we get full velocity. We don't want that, actually, because I have my accent on. The volume is here. We can pan. We can modulate the LFO of the pan, or modulate the pan with the LFO. And we can retrigger. No, we won't retrigger. Yeah, we can retrigger or not retrigger. You hear it kind of traveling in between the stereo image. Yeah, this is it's a basic sampler. So another thing you can do is really cool. You can right click and then turn simpler to sampler, or sampler to simpler, and it'll load it into something a bit more advanced. So what I'll do is I will reset this and go back. So we have all this. We have an option for a root key. So if you have a sound that's in like a different like root key or whatever, these are all in C. But if they were in like something else, you would be able to set the root key and then detune it. Snap, also reverse function, start and stop time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make kind of a micro sampley bit. So that'll start there. You want it to end at the phase of 0, like right in the center. Yeah. Right, so there's two loop modes. Oops. Yeah, so we'll set that to loop mode. So snap that to that. So it's start and stop. These loop markers up here. Right, so we can have it set so it plays, it loops incrementally left, right, left, right, left, right. Or we can have it kind of go back and forth, which is a different sound altogether. You'd use that if you have like an elongated kind of vocal sound. Right, and then you could take that and like distort it and stuff like that. So you have that waveform and you've completely isolated it. That's really fun. Volume, of course, detunes. Yeah, you can pan and detune. You can have best interpolation, which boosts the quality from the low end to the high frequencies, or the low key to the high keys. So now we have a little bit different. We have modulation pages, so we can actually modulate this with an oscillator, or modulate it with an envelope, pitch envelope. So we can have this on the amount. So you can have like the attack a bit more, not so like a stagnant note, right, for a more analog feel. We have our spread, right, and our transpose and detune, and it's just like a post kind of tuning measure. After you've done it, you can loop the envelope, the pitch envelope. We can do some interesting FM modulation and AM modulation. Right, so just like how we were doing with analog, I'm trying to explain this so it doesn't confuse everyone. Just how we were doing it with analog, it's the same kind of deal, but we're modulating a sample. Right, so we have, we've added a lot of character to the sound, and the chorus is the ratio of modulation, assuming it's tuned. Fixed would just be a very fast LFO, like the last time. And this is your options. These two boxes are your options for your envelope, but then you can just drag it around. There's FM, and then there's AM, which is amplitude modulation, which is kind of like ring modulation. Right, that sounds pretty cool. All right, we have our filter. So this is a filter. We have low pass and band pass, high pass, and all that. And you drag it around like so. We have our filter envelope and our mount. So this is how much the envelope is changing the filter. Right, so it's a very fast envelope. Right, and that sounds pretty neat. We can add a shaper to the filter, or have it pre-filter or post-filter. Now this is filter drive and filter saturation, and you can do some really interesting things. Right, and we can have it is a different character if you go out of the filter. Right, so the upper harmonics of that distortion, distortion and saturation adds harmonics, is not being filtered off by the filter post-filter, but if we have it pre-filter, they're being filtered out, but we still have the drive from the low end. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we have our amplitude envelope. So we can have a snappy attack, or like a full-on whatever. We have an attack. All these options, but you can basically just drag this around. Right. Then we have pan, time key, voices. I will have one voice. There we go. Filter and global. I am really bad at this. Anyway, we have a modulation section. We have 3 oscillators, and this is how advanced this is. We can have any one of these, plus an auxiliary envelope sent to anything really. We can have it also sent to an LFO. Now this gets kind of confusing, but what you can do is have another, say, another envelope modulating the resonance of the filter over here, something that we didn't have, right? So we'll do that. So we'll have that. Right, you can't really hear it, but it's there, I promise. Yeah, anyway. So we have an LFO here. Now what can we do with the LFO? We can have... Oops. We can have an LFO for... This one is locked. There's children playing outside my window. This one is locked to volume, pan, filter, and pitch. So we can... So this one's not assignable. We can go all the way up to 30 hertz to a very slow vibration. We can also sync it, and there's the usual suspects: sine, square, triangle, saw, ramp, and sample and hold. We can re-trigger it, of course. Yeah, so you realize that synthesis and sampling and FM synthesis is just modulation over time, and that's how you change the sound, and that's how we got from that to that. All right, so we have our second LFO. Now this can be mapped to other things. So you can have multiple LFOs, multiple LFOs modulating the same pitch, or modulating the pitch. So you can have like a very randomized pitch type stuff. You can have them modulating an LFO rate. So you can have one LFO modulating the rate of another LFO. And you can get some really interesting things, all freely assignable to one of two areas, and the amount is selected by this knob, or this option here. And of course you have another LFO. So you can get really interesting things. You can just have modulation on top of modulation. Well, there is a limit, but you know. So the modulation section is a single envelope assignable to two things, possibly to be assigned to two things. LFO1 locked to volume, filter, pan, so we can wobble. So that's right in the frequency range. I'll return that default. Right, we can have that retrigger or not. Right, and you can activate and deactivate them. LFO2 assignable to two things. LFO3 assignable to two things. Very neat. One thing I want to show is, yeah, we'll go filter frequency. So let's see what we got here. Right, so the LFO, it's uniform. It's the same speed, lower keys and higher keys. We can change that, so the key, if we have the key up, as we go up the keyboard, the LFO goes faster. Now that adds another dimension to modulation and expressiveness. Right, we have that, and that, you know, that could be useful to some people. We can change the phase, so we can have a stereo LFO, so it would bounce around. Right, that makes sense. All right, enough of this modulation page. All right, so we have MIDI modulation. So this is how expressive you are to, you know, your MIDI playing. So if I have my accent turned off and I go velocity, I want velocity to be mapped. Oh my goodness. To pitch. Okay, we'll have it to pitch so we can really hear. So I'm going to play one note, and you're going to hear. The harder I press, the more the pitch goes up in increments, right? So it's just another form of expression. Another thing I can do is aftertouch. I could do that. So I'll press a key. So when I press a key and then I kind of mash the button in, like harder, it's aftertouch, it's adjusting the pitch. You can do that for your filter cutoff, or what do we have for LFO? I'll turn that phase. LFO2, okay, I want aftertouch to be mapped to LFO2, the rate of LFO2. We'll have that up there. What the heck? What did I do? LFO2, the frequency. Oh, the frequency of LFO2. Huh? Wait. Destination. Anyway, I think I broke it. Oh yeah, there we go. So I'm pressing it and it's modulating it. It's all really interesting. You can also map your pitch bend to other fun things like filter your filter envelope amount. And just other crazy type of things. So yeah, we got this from this. Hope you learned stuff. Hopefully that was a good introduction. And yeah, hope you enjoyed.